Okay, good morning. Good morning to everybody. One thing that I want to ask you: at what time your classes will be over today? Just one of you inform me. Today and tomorrow, at what time all your online classes will be finished? Yes, any one of you. Rosemary, Alina, 4:30 it will be over. Subia. Okay, today at 4:30 it will be finished. Okay, what about tomorrow? Tomorrow at what time? Subia. Subia. Tomorrow at what time your classes will be finished? Don't know. Okay. It's okay, no problem. If possible, today itself, I will send you a link at 4:30, 4:30 to 5:30. Let us meet. Not a class, not a class, because from the college it has been sent one email. I supposed to discuss about that. So I will send again a link. I will going to send it. Okay, all of you can open the link and you can join at 4:30 today at 4:30. I will send it early. If possible, I will send it early. Let us see that. Okay. But you are having up to 4:30, you are having the class. So therefore, no other way. I had to send it at 4:30. If not possible today, tomorrow, let me see that. Okay. You had to attend that one. It is not a class, which is not a class. I supposed to talk to you, all of you. I supposed to talk to all of you. Okay. Yes. For that purpose, Raghavendra, present. Raghavendra, present. Answer me. Some of you are not present. Tomorrow, maybe 12:30 it will be finished. Very good. Okay. Then let me see that. Let me see that. Okay. Tomorrow at what time I will be free? I will see that, then I will. Okay. Yes, right. When you are having the lesser number of classes on that day that I can take up, and I want to talk to you, nothing else. It is not a class. It is not a class. An extra idea that I supposed to say, something I supposed to, okay. I supposed to talk to you, nothing else. You can open the video also, audio, you had to, no other way. All of you had to open the audios and you had to talk to me. I will send a link, extra concepts I supposed to say. Okay. Yes, Raghavendra, present. Why some of you are not attending the online classes, I don't know that. Because you see that almost the portions are covering now. Almost 90% of the portions are covered already. Already covered. 90% of the portions are covered. If you are absent for the classes, then who is going to teach again? You have to write your test. You have to write first thing. Second, you have to write your multiple choice questions, quiz questions. Next, 10th onwards, you are supposed to write in all the subjects, 10 to 15. Okay. June 10th to June 15th, that we had to conduct the multiple choice questions, quiz based questions, that is to be answered by you people, which carries the internal assessment marks. Okay, then practical exam we had to conduct, then theory exam. Then theory exam. Your BSc course will be completing another about 1 month. But you people are not attending the classes, then who is going to write the examination? Okay, don't forget, Government of Karnataka, it's saying that one, we are conducting the classes. For that purpose, we are conducting the classes through online. Right? We are supposed to conduct through the online classes. This is the government mandatory idea. Because you people, you are all grown up people. Okay, you are not in first standard. Online classes, we don't want like that. You should not say that for next future also we had to adjust. We had to adjust. Even in your MSc level or somewhere else, no other way, you had to adjust to the online classes. You had to. Okay, right? Okay, yes, right. Today I will start another concept here. I will start the another concept. Just listen, understand about the idea. Continuation, of course. What is that? Maybe average energy is supposed to derive. Fermi energy, important derivation. Last class, whatever I have covered it, it is an important derivation. Now, continuation, derive an expression for the average energy. Okay. Average energy of free electrons in a metal. In a metal. So derive an expression for, we are asking. Derive an expression for the average energy of free electrons in a metal. Metal in the sense, again, I can say it is a conductor. It is a conductor. Average energy of free electrons in a metal. Or in the case of a conductor, derive an expression for it. Either for about 3 marks or 4 marks question that we are going to ask. This particular derivation, it carries usually a 3 marks question or maybe maximum of 4 marks question that we can frame it here. Okay. The average kinetic energy of the free electrons inside a metal is how much? Now I will start the concept here. Now, very simple derivation. The average energy, of course, which energy? Kinetic energy, of course. The average kinetic energy of free electrons at 0 Kelvin, absolute zero, at 0 Kelvin is given by here E naught is given by E naught. If you are writing like this now, it is average. This is average. But under quantum mechanics is Brown-Ket notations. Brown-Ket notations. That is quantum mechanics. But this is average value. Whenever if you want to write the average, we are writing like this. This is average value of this particular kinetic energy of free electrons inside the metal at 0 Kelvin is given by, that is equal to total number of electrons, whatever it is present, that I supposed to take it here now, 1 by n, integration of 0 to EF naught, 0 to EF naught, where EF naught is said to be the Fermi energy. Okay, the maximum field energy at 0 Kelvin is called by the name the Fermi energy. EF naught, E, lower limit, upper limit. This is the lower limit, this is the upper limit. E into NED. NED. But at 0 Kelvin, NED is equal to how much? At 0 Kelvin, this implies NED is equal to how much? That is equal to 3n divided by 2 EF naught raised to the power minus 3 by 2. Problems not yet started, of course. Afterwards, I am supposed to take up the problems. E to the power half into d. This is NED. NED value at 0 Kelvin is equal to this much. Substitute this value from here to here. This value, I supposed to do the substitution from here to here. Let us do the substitution. As you are doing the substitution here, I can write E naught, average value, is equal to 1 by n integration of 0 to EF naught, 0 to EF naught. You are supposed to take a sheet of paper or book, you have to keep it and you have to write along with me. Along with me, you are supposed to write, all of you. Okay. So EF naught, otherwise you cannot understand, you have to do the practice session. 0 to EF naught. E as it is I will write. This E as it is I will write. This NEDA value I will going to substitute. 3n divided by 2 EF naught raised to the power minus 3 by 2 e to the power half into d. Clear? Now, simplification is to be done. This one. But here, EF naught is a constant. We are supposed to integrate only e to the power something. That is to be integrate. The remaining thing that I supposed to take it out as a constant. So which are the constant here? 3n by 2 is a constant. EF naught is also a constant. These two are constants. I will take it outside. Therefore, E naught average value. Okay. E naught average value is equal to 1 by n as it is I will write. This is 3n divided by 2. This is EF naught raised to the power minus 3 by 2 integration of 0 to EF naught e to the power 1 e to the power half d. Right? Therefore, here n get cancelled and therefore E naught average value is equal to, it is equal to how much it is remaining. I supposed to write here now. So how much it is remaining now? 3 EF naught raised to the power minus 3 by 2 divided by 2. Divided by 2. This one integration of 0 to EF naught e to the power 1 e to the power half a to the power n into a to the power of n is equal to a to the power of m plus n, 1 plus half. So therefore it is equal to 3 by 2, 1 plus half d. You know about basic integration of this. E to the power of 3 by 2 integration is given by integration of e to the power of 3 by 2 is equal to, of course, d is equal to e to the power 3 by 2 plus 1 divided by 3 by 2 plus 1. Is it right? Therefore, substitute that value here. Therefore, that is equal to 3 EF naught minus 3 by 2 power divided by 2 e to the power 5 by 2 divided by 5 by 2 varies from, I have to apply the limits now. 0 is the lower limit, upper limit is EF naught. EF naught is the upper limit, lower limit 0. Substitution is finished. Only thing is we are supposed to do the simplification here. This 2, 5 by 2, we can take it outside and we can write as 2 by 5. So therefore that is equal to, here only I will write, that is equal to 3 EF naught raised to the power minus 3 by 2 divided by 2 multiplied by 2 by 5 into e to the power 5 by 2. This varies from 0 to EF naught. I am writing all the steps. So therefore, E naught average value is given by 2 get cancelled, 3 by 5, 3 divided by 5, EF naught raised to the power minus 3 by 2. This one. Wherever E is there, I supposed to substitute upper limit as EF naught. So therefore, that is EF naught, this one, EF naught raised to the power 5 by 2 minus 0 here to the power 5 by 2, correct? This value is equal to 0 anyhow. Therefore, this answer is equal to here 3 by 5 EF naught. This is minus 3 by 2. This is plus 5 by 2. 5 by 2 minus 3 by 2. So 2 is the LCM. 5 minus 3 divided by 2. You are going to have here it is EF naught. Therefore, E naught average value is equal to here 3 by 5 EF naught. EF naught. Is the answer. This is average energy of the free electrons in a metal at 0 Kelvin. So we are asking for about 2 marks questions here. If EF naught is given, we can calculate the average energy at 0 Kelvin. Don't forget, by using this formula. If average energy is given, we can calculate the Fermi level, Fermi energy. If average energy is given, we can calculate the Fermi energy. If Fermi energy is given, we can calculate the average energy. Carries 2 marks. But the formula relation, the relation connected between the average energy of a free electron inside a metal at 0 Kelvin and the Fermi energy level at 0 Kelvin inside a metal. This is the relation. Average energy is equal to 3 by 5 times the Fermi energy. So Fermi energy and average energy, any one if the known thing here, the other one we can estimate easily. We can calculate easily. So this is the concept for about 3 marks or 4 marks question that we are framing here. This derivation, it carries 3 marks or 4 marks. You can write this much only for your examination, no problem. You can write only this much. I have written almost all the steps, all the concepts it has been written. Okay, see that? Easy. If you are writing this much, you will get 3 marks. Next idea, next concept, explain the effect of temperature on Fermi energy. It is there in your syllabus. Explain the effect of temperature on Fermi energy, meaning as temperature increases, what happened to the Fermi energy? As temperature decreases, what happened to the Fermi energy? Explain. We are asking for about 2 marks. Okay, that is the next concept. What is it? Explain. Explain the effect of temperature on Fermi energy. We are asking this question for about 2 marks. We prefer to ask under 2 marks question. Explain the effect of temperature on Fermi energy. Of course, with respect to metals. Fermi energy at any temperature, not at 0 Kelvin now. Okay, Fermi energy at any temperature, capital T, is given by how much? EF is equal to, not EF naught, EF naught. In terms of EF naught that I am writing here, EF in terms of EF naught. This is above 0 Kelvin. This is above 0 Kelvin. EF naught means at 0 Kelvin. Okay, Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin. This is above 0 Kelvin into 1 minus pi square divided by 12. No derivation. Pi square divided by 12. I will confining myself to the syllabus only. KT, where small k is the Boltzmann constant, capital T is the absolute scale temperature, divided by EF naught. EF naught. That whole square. This is a relation. Again, I will repeat. Fermi energy at any temperature is this, EF. Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin is this. This is Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin. This is Fermi energy above 0 Kelvin. Okay, it is given by this relation. If this relation holds good here, if this relation holds good, using this relation, I can say, what is that? As T increases, as capital T increases, as capital T increases, this capital T is gone increasing more and more and more. Okay, if capital T increases, this value is gone increasing. Yes, this value is more here, pi square by 12 kT by EF naught whole square, this value is gone increasing. If this value is gone increasing, whatever it is written within the bracket 1 minus, this 1 minus something is gone decreasing. Yes, this is a decreased value here, therefore EF is gone increasing. I'm sorry, T increases. As T increases here, this value is gone increases. Therefore, 1 minus something is gone decreases. As 1 minus something is gone decreasing here, EF is gone decreasing. EF decreases. Inverse proportionality is there. Again, as T decreases here, as T decreases, this implies EF is gone increases. But this is actual thing. But the variation between here to here, as it is increases to a very large extent, the decrease is a small constant. If it is increases to a very huge amount, this decrease is a small amount. The change, the variation, I can say, okay, the variation of EF with temperature, this is the variation of EF with temperature, the variation of EF with temperature is very small. So meaning if you are increasing this temperature to a large amount, huge extent, the decrease in EF is a very small extent. If you are decreasing the temperature to a larger extent, the increase in EF is a very small value. Therefore, the variation of EF with respect to temperature is very small, which is negligible. Since it is negligibly very small amount here, therefore, as temperature increases or decreases, as temperature increases or decreases, temperature T increases or decreases, this implies EF approximately equal to EF naught. In the beginning, I wrote this. Now I am concluding that Since the variation is very small between the temperature and the EF here now, therefore, as the temperature increases or temperature decreases, the Fermi level remains almost zero. I mean, almost constant. Fermi level is almost remains the same. It is nearly equal to EF naught. About 0 Kelvin, if you are increasing the temperature to a large extent, the Fermi energy almost equal to that of the EF naught. EF naught and EF approximately they are equal to each other. If you are writing this much, it's enough for about 2 marks. See that? This carries 2 marks. Capital T means temperature, absolute scale temperature. Okay, that's all that I taught you. Okay, finished? Right. Next concept. Next concept. This is a free electron theory of metals. Now we are supposed to go for the next concept, that is band theory of solids. Band theory of solids. Okay. What do you mean by this? Let us analyze about the band theory. Under band theory of solids, solids can be divided into 3 categories. Don't forget. Once in a way, I told you already, solids can be divided into 3 materials. One is called by the name the conductors. The other one is called by the name the semiconductors. Third one is called by the name insulators. Conductors, semiconductors, insulators, based on the band theory. Based on the band theory. First, we had to understand about what do you mean by this band theory. What do you mean by band theory? If you want to analyze the band theory, we have to go to the atomic structure first. Atomic theory. What is an atom? Atomic structure. All these ideas last semester already you have understood. Okay. Even in PUC level also you have studied. A little bit lower classes itself that you have studied already about the atomic structure. So if I'm choosing what is an atom here, it is the smallest particle of an element. Right? Maybe it is containing here nucleus, it is having positively charged core is present here, which containing protons, neutrons, not only that, so many other particles which are present inside the nucleus, called by the name the fundamental particles of the nucleus or an atom. So many number of particles are there. You have studied elementary particles, you have studied about that. But protons carries the positive charge, therefore the nucleus, it carries the positive charge. Neutrons which do not carry any charge inside the nucleus. Electrons which are revolving around the nucleus like this. These are the electrons orbit. Electrons may be present in any orbit like this. But this is K shell, this is L, this is M, like this it is present. Every shell is having a subshell. Even in your chemistry, you have understood about all this concept. Every shell, K shell, having the subshells. L is having the subshells. M is also having the subshells. There are energy levels. Second PUC level, you have studied about that. If an energy level of an electron, if I'm writing, this is the energy level of an electron. This energy level of an electron, we have derived this equation, of course. En is equal to minus m z square e to the power 4 divided by 8 n square h square epsilon naught square. Derivation we have taken, it has been borrowed from your second PUC syllabus. This one. Derive an expression for the electron energy in the nth orbit. Derive an expression for the electron energy in the nth orbit. Is negative sign. The electron energy in any orbit is negative only. Okay, this is whatever we have derived so far in our lower class. Now coming to the higher class here. Coming to the higher class, electron may be present in the lower orbit, may be present in the higher orbit like this. The dot representing the electrons. Electrons which are present outside the nucleus, which are all revolving around the nucleus. Basic concept. Which are all revolving around the nucleus. Okay. If I'm choosing only one isolated atom, you are aware of what is isolated atom. Isolated atom means only one atom that I have chosen. Shall I write that? Isolated atom means only one atom that I have chosen. It is not influenced by any other atoms here. Nearby there are no atoms. Just like in a classroom only one student is present. In a classroom only one student is present. Not influenced by any other person. But a classroom does not containing only one student. It is containing so many number of students here. Every bench is occupied by maybe 5 or 6 number of students like that. Okay. Behind the student also present, side by also present, in front of the student also, some students are surrounded. Similarly, here also, if I am considering a crystal here, this is a crystal or a solid. There are so many number of atoms, they are all arranged here. Huge number of atoms, they are all packed up here. This is one atom. Nucleus, electrons, nucleus, electrons, nucleus, electrons, nucleus, electrons, nucleus, electrons, like this. Like this. Sir, how many are there? Depending upon your Avogadro number. Right? 6.023 10 to the power of 23. Okay, gram mole. 6.023 10 to the power 26. 10 to the power 26 kg mole. In terms of kg, if I'm writing. So, depending upon the Avogadro hypothesis, we can consider. No problem. So, let us consider a crystal. Inside the crystal, there are huge number of atoms. They are all aligned. They are all said to be present in a proper manner. They are all present inside the crystal. Every atom is having a nucleus, and surrounded by that one, there are so many number of electrons are revolving. Every electron in the shell, it is having the subshells here. The subshells, I can write that one as 1s, 2s, electronic configuration, 3p, 3s. Like this, electrons are occupying. So, electrons are occupying here, 1s level, then 2s level, then 3p level, then 3s level. Like that, it is go on occupying. Different energy levels that I am writing. They are occupying the different energy levels. First, it is going to get occupying the lower energy, then higher energy, then higher energy, then higher energy. Now, this K shell electron are S orbit electrons. These S orbit electrons are closer to the nucleus. Nucleus carries the positive charge, electrons carries the negative charge. Nucleus carries the positive charge. Electrons which are revolving around the nucleus, which carries the negative charge. Between nucleus, positive charged nucleus, and the negatively charged electrons, here to here, there is a force of attraction. Okay, between positively charged nucleus and the negatively charged electron, there is a force of attraction. If the electron is closer to the nucleus, the force of attraction is more tightly bound. The electron is tightly bound to the nucleus. The electron is tightly bound to the nucleus. If the electron is present in the next orbit here, if the electron is present, this is also attracted towards the nucleus, but not this much. Here the distance is small, force of attraction is more. Here the distance is more, force of attraction is less. But if I'm choosing a outermost orbital electron here, this is an outermost orbital electron. The distance between the nucleus to this outermost orbital electron is very large. As the distance of separation is very large here, the force of attraction between the nucleus and this electron is very small. Therefore, this electron, the outermost orbital electron, this is called by the name valence electron. This is called by the name the valence electron, can be removed very easily. It can be removed very easily. Now you have understood about why the teachers are focusing their eyes to the border students. Is it right? Border in the sense the outermost orbital students, correct? Who they are all seated at the last bench. The teacher is seeing most of the occasions we are observing only the last bench students, because are they present there only or are they went away from the classroom? Because easily detachable. Okay, but we are not going to get focusing on the first bench students, because the movement of the first bench students to go out of the classroom is not so easy, because they are closer to the board, they are closer to the teacher here. Similarly, if an electron is revolving around the nucleus at a closer orbit, they are tightly bound. If an electron, outermost orbital electron, if it is revolving around the nucleus, they can be removed very easily, because the force of attraction between the outermost orbital electron to the nucleus is a smaller extent. The energy or the force of attraction is said to be existing here. It can be removed very easily. I hope you have understood now. Some concept you have understood, right? So these electrons can be removed very easily. These electrons can be removed very easily. Outermost orbital electron can be removed very easily. For example, using some amount of temperature, external agency that I will going to apply. Using this external, which is the external agency, sir? The external agency may be temperature, maybe electric current or voltage, electric field I can consider. Like that, if you are applying here from externally, now this outermost orbital electron, which is present as a valence electron, it can be removed very easily. It can be removed easily. If it is removed from that orbit here, now this can move inside the metal only. It will not come out of the metal, it can move inside the metal. If the college compound, if it is said to be a height of the compound is more, okay, if the gate is also it is also closed, the gate is also closed. If a student is coming out of a classroom, he cannot go out of the college, but he is present out of the classroom. He can go from one classroom to another classroom. One classroom to another classroom he can go, but he cannot go out of the college building. I hope you understood. So here, if the electrons are removed from that outermost orbit, it can move from one atom to another atom. Such removed electrons are called by the name conduction electrons. They are called by the name the conduction electrons. So we are having now the two types of electrons. The electrons which are revolving around the orbit, around the nucleus in an orbit. The outermost orbital electron is called by the name the valence electron. If it is removed from that orbit, the same valence electron, no longer it is a valence electron, is called by the name the conduction electron. Sir, what about other electrons? Other electrons, okay, properly they are present there only. The nucleus closer to that one, if an electron is present, not so easy to remove that. Only I am talking about the valence electron because it is easy to remove. This is just like our SSLC student. As long as they are present in the SSLC, up to last week, all the SSLC students are SSLC only. But now, once the government says that one, okay, all of you are passed. Now they are not, no longer they are SSLC students. They are called by the name of first PUC students. They are first. Who they are the first PUC students? They are SSLC students who they have passed. So what do you mean by conduction electrons? Basically, they are valence electrons. Conduction electrons means basically they are valence electrons, but they are removed from that orbit. If they are present in that orbit only, then they are not called by the name of the conduction electrons. They are called by the name of the valence electrons. Now, coming to the picture now, concept. So, if I am choosing a crystal like this, inside the crystal, this is a nucleus, electrons are revolving like this. Okay, this is a nucleus, electrons are revolving like this. Correct? This is outermost orbital electron called by the name the valence electron of this atom and this atom. Now, this electron is having a particular energy. This electron is having a particular energy. This is the energy level. This electron is having a particular energy. This electron is also having the same amount of energy because the material is same. Electron number is also same. In the same energy level it is present. But this is interacting with this. This is interacting with this. Is interacting with this. Okay. Once they are fighting with respect to each other for the rights, interaction is said to be existing here. This particular energy level splits up into two energy levels, but they are very close to each other. Very, very close to each other. One energy level, it has been splits up into two energy level because of these two interactions. But inside a crystal, only two electrons are not present. Only two atoms are not present. If I am choosing, one more atom is present here. Now, this is also having an electron here. Now, this is interacting with this. This is interacting with this. Is interacting with this one. Mutually, all the three are interacting here. Therefore, that energy level splits up into three, but very close to each other. Whatever I have written, it is a bigger size. Actually, strictly speaking, they are all very, very close to microscopic, very close to each other. Now, one energy level splits up into three energy levels because of the three atoms electrons are interacting. Valence electrons, they are interacting. Now, the question is, sir, why the S shell electrons are not interacting? They are close to nucleus, one thing, and they are far away from each other. If I am taking the one S electron, another S electron, one more S electron here, far away from each other. Therefore, interaction is present, but that interaction is very small. Very small. Okay. If I am choosing one more nucleus here and one more atom, if I am considering here, that is also having an electron here. Now this energy level splits up into 4. Like this, if n atoms are present. Now, one energy level, it has been splits up into n number of energy levels. N levels, it has been splits up into n number of energy levels. They are all closely packed. These energy levels, they are all closely packed up. This is called by the name the energy continuum. Energy continuum. Or I can say the energy range I can consider. Energy range I can consider. This energy range or energy continuum is called by the name energy band. This is called by the name energy band. This is band theory. Energy band, B-A-N-D, energy band. The energy continuum or energy range of the electrons which are interacting, and hence a particular energy level splits up into how many number of electrons are interacting, that many number of times it has been divided here. They are all closely lying one. This closely lying energy continuum or energy range is called by the name the energy band. This is the energy band. I explained what do you mean by energy band. That's all I explained. Once you got the energy band here, now I can think about, is it due to valence electrons? If it is due to the valence electron, that energy band is called by the name valence band. Hoping that you have understood. Now energy band you have understood. Now the question is, this energy band, is it due to the valence band? I mean valence electrons. If it is due to the valence electrons here, the energy band, whatever we are getting, is called by the name valence band. It is called by the name, don't write bond. Bond is different, band is different. It is called by the name the valence band due to the valence electrons. No sir, the electrons are removed here and they are all moving here, called by the name the conduction electrons. One conduction electron energy, another conduction electron energy, they are interacting, and hence whatever the energy continuum, energy band it is forming here, that is called by the name conduction band. So we are having the two varieties of band here now. We are having the two varieties of band. One is the valence band, the other one is the conduction band. We are having the two varieties of bands here. One is due to the valence electrons, called by the name the valence band. The valence band is due to the valence electrons interaction, which in turn produces an energy continuum or energy range, is called by the name the valence band. Conduction band, it is due to the conduction electrons. So what do you mean by conduction electron? If the valence electrons are removed from that orbit and it is tend to move from one atom to another atom, I can say it is a free electron. Such electrons are called by the name the conduction electrons. One conduction electron to another conduction electron, if there is an interaction that takes place here, due to that one we are getting a energy continuum, is called by the name the conduction band. Now we are having two bands inside the conductors, inside the metal, inside the solids. Inside the solids we are having two bands. One is the valence band, the other one is the conduction band. One is the valence band, the other one is the conduction band. You tell me that valence band energy, conduction band energy, which energy is more? Answer it. I am asking a very simple question. We are having the two bands, valence band, conduction band. Now, valence band is due to the valence electrons, conduction band is due to the conduction electrons. Right? Now, which energy is more? Or are they having the equal energies? I am asking the question. Answer it quickly. Either you can switch on the audio and you can answer, or you can type it and you can answer. Alina, you can answer. Rosemary, answer it. Any others? Subia, answer it. Jilfi Joy, answer. Yes, quickly. Valence band, conduction band. If you understood, you can answer it. Yes, quickly. Don't waste the time. Not understood. Let us go back this. Valence band is due to the valence electrons. Right. Conduction band is due to the conduction electrons. I have given an example, correct now? What is that example? Valence electrons are just like our SSLC students. Conduction electrons are just like our first PUC students. I am asking the question, first PUC students or SSLC students, who they are having the more knowledge? Sir, need not be, sir. First PUC students are having more amount of knowledge. SSLC students comparatively they are having the lesser amount of, need not be, sir. Some occasions SSLC students are having more knowledge than that of the degree students are also. Correct? No, you are thinking like that. But generally, you answer it no, at least now you answer it. Valence band energy, conduction band energy, which energy is more? If you don't answer, I will not take up the next. Open the audio and answer. Oof. Okay. The answer is valence band is having the lesser energy. Valence band is having the lesser energy. Conduction band is having the more energy. The energy comprising in the valence band is less. The energy possessed in the conduction band is larger comparatively. This is having the more energy. This is having the lesser energy. Depending upon this band theory of solids, we are supposed to discuss about the differentiation of conductors, semiconductors, and insulators. What is the major difference between here to here and here to here? We are supposed to say that concept. Okay, these are the ideas already you have come across in your PUC level also. Okay, so in the case of conductors here, if I'm choosing the conductors here, valence band is present, conduction band is present. This is valence band, this is conduction band. This is valence band, this is valence band. Up to here it is valence band. This is conduction band. Up to here there is a conduction band. So therefore, between valence band and the conduction band, there is a overlapping is present here. There is a overlapped region is present. The electrons can be promoted. This is valence band. This is conduction band. Valence band and conduction band, they are having a overlapping. There is no gap. There is no forbidden gap. There is no energy gap between the valence band and the conduction band. Therefore, electrons can be shifted from valence band to the conduction band very easily. Very easily, electrons can be shifted from valence band to the conduction band. Whereas in the case of insulators, if I'm choosing, let us choose the insulators. Here there is a valence band. Here there is a conduction band. There is a huge difference, huge gap is present between valence band to the conduction band. That gap is called by the name energy gap, e.g. forbidden gap. And also your EF value, you are aware of EF now. What is that EF? Fermi energy level. The Fermi energy level which is said to be closer to that of the valence band. Valence band nearer to that one, Fermi energy is said to be existing here. EF is present closer to the valence band. So there is a huge gap is there between valence band to the conduction band. Here energy gap is equal to 0, where it is in the case of conductors. But in the case of insulators, there is a huge amount of energy gap is present. That energy gap is more than 5 eV, approximately 6 eV is present. More than 5 eV it is present here. Okay. And Fermi level it is said to be closer to that of the valence band. But in the case of semiconductors, If I'm choosing the semiconductors here, in the case of semiconductors, this is the valence band and this is the conduction band. And Fermi level is present exactly in between, at the midpoint, at the mid region. Exactly in between the valence band and the conduction band, exactly at the middle portion, EF is present here. See the difference between valence insulators and the semiconductors. In the case of conductors, energy gap is equal to 0. In the case of insulators, energy gap is more than 5 eV. In the case of semiconductors, there is an energy gap here. That energy gap approximately equal to 1 eV. I said approximately equal to 1 eV. Yeah. And the Fermi level is present exactly in between valence band and conduction band, middle point. But in the case of insulators, the Fermi energy is closer to that of the valence band. Not only that, this is a basic difference here. The valence band and conduction band, here it is overlapping. Here is overlapping. The electrons can move from valence band to the conduction band very easily. Whereas in the case of insulators, valence band is completely filled. Valence band is completely filled. Conduction band is completely empty. Energy gap is huge. No free electrons are available in the conduction band. Fermi energy level, it is just above the valence band. Therefore, it requires a huge amount of energy to bring the valence band electrons to the conduction band. It is not so easy to have the conduction in the case of insulators. Whereas in the case of semiconductors here, valence band is partially filled. Valence band is partially filled. Conduction band is also partially filled. The energy gap between valence band to the conduction band is very small, 1 eV. Fermi level, it is lies exactly midway between the conduction band and the valence band. At very low temperature, semiconductors behaving as insulators. Don't forget, at 0 Kelvin, a semiconductor, it is acting as an insulator. A semiconductor behaves as an insulator at 0 Kelvin. But at 0 Kelvin here, a conductor is acting as a superconductor. Conductivity increases here. But here conductivity decreases. So a semiconductor behaves as an insulator at 0 Kelvin. If you are applying some amount of UV radiations, heating, adding some amount of some impurities atoms, trivalent or maybe the pentavalent atoms, like that if you are adding here, valence electrons can be easily bring to the conduction band. Hence, conductivity is going to get increases. How to increase the conductivity in semiconductors? By heating the semiconductor, by giving some amount of voltages here, by allowing some amount of visible radiations or UV radiations here, or adding some amount of impurity atoms to here. That is either adding a pentavalent or adding a trivalent impurity. The conductivity of the semiconductors can be further increased. Therefore, we will go for extrinsic semiconductors. So I will take up that intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor story in the next class. Okay. So read all these concepts properly. You have to read.